Alright, so today we're actually going to swirl a guitar. I've got my Strat body. This is the Douglas First Strat. I've primed it with Zinsser's white primer, but I added a black dye to it, so it's got a little bit darker color. It's not black, it's more or less a gray. So I'm using these Magic Marble paints today. From my tests, this is the easiest for a beginner to use. The instructions are: fill a bucket full of water, shake up the paints real well, pour the paints in as close as you can to the water, dip the object, swish the paints away, pull it out, dry it off. Very simple. So I've got the 5 basic colors here. The black that I have is no good, so I'm going to be using green, blue, yellow, red, and white. And the key to this is using enough paint to cover the whole body. My bucket here is actually a rain bucket that would go onto your gutter. I found this at Menards. It's about 60 bucks, which is a pretty good deal. So in my tests I learned that if you don't have enough paint, as you dip, the paint runs out, and I don't want that to happen, so I'm probably going to be doing a little bit more than what you really need. I want to make sure this sits right. If you want larger patterns, you would kind of leave this as it is and you would just dip and you get the larger color patterns. And if you want more of a swirl, you're going to swirl the paints around. So I want more of a swirl, so I'm going to swirl these paints around. Got my swizzle stick here. I'm just going to drag some of these paints through. Alright, that looks pretty good. So again, I've got my guitar. It's on a stick. I'm going to slowly dip it in and swirl it around. Move it around so I make sure I catch all of the paints. Alright, get my stick, pick this up, pull out, shake off. There you go. That's pretty awesome. Got perfect coloring throughout the whole guitar body. Got some of the gray showing up as well. This guitar is going to look fantastic. No blotchiness, which is why I prefer using these versus some of the testers or the other enamels. So next step here is to let this dry. Alright, so here we are about an hour later, and with a lot more paint. This is actually still tacky, so I touched it in a couple corners and it is a tad tacky, so I'm going to still let this dry overnight. There's some slight bubbles on this back side, and a little bit as I first dipped. I might have gone a little bit too fast when I dipped in. And in terms of coloring, as you get up to the top here, it starts to fade just slightly, but there was a swirl that I caught on the end here that really kind of finished it off. So you can see as I move the guitar, I get the different waves going down. Overall, it looks pretty cool. The green didn't mix all that great here, and maybe through here. But overall, really happy with my first full swirl. I think I've got good paint covering. Like the way it looks. Maybe I would have done a little bit more white on the outers, and left it just to pick it up. But definitely the green doesn't look all that great. But in the middle here it looks pretty sweet. The coloring is really, really outstanding up and through this horn, which is what the player's going to be looking at anyway. So overall looks really cool. Pretty happy with this first swirl. I think next time I would definitely go with less colors, so I think the next one I'm going to do red, white, and blue and leave it, or just red and blue and leave a white background. I think that'll look outstanding. So here's how you swirl a Strat with Magic Marble paint.